Subscribe to both of my YouTube channels, Sharon Winbush and Goddess Sharon. Sharon is spelled with 2 R's. Turn on notifications, like the video, and most importantly, share the video with everyone that you know and share it globally. Thank you. Contrary to what many people are saying, the evidence is right before us. Jennifer Bongine already knew about the R. Kelly case because of R. Kelly. The case is so big, every lawyer around the globe knows about it. They're paying attention to it because it's unprecedented. Her having a professional relationship with Steve Greenberg made her pay even closer attention, I'm sure. But she was not able to contact Robert Kelly, and nor was he in a place to contact her, because you don't have a need to contact her until you get guilty verdicts. He got the guilty verdicts and they immediately put him in the hole. Solitary confinement, no contact with anyone because he was on suicide watch. That's protocol for anyone that gets a guilty verdict. 5 days he could not see or contact anyone except his lead attorneys. So you got the guilty verdict. He's not able to call anyone and no one is able to reach him. He did not have access to mail or anything. The only people that could access him were his lead attorneys. Nicole Blank-Becker spoke with Bongine that Tuesday. She talked to Robert that Wednesday. Robert talked to Scholar and Canick, told them that Nicole had already spoken to Bongine. They reached out to Bongine. Greenberg talked to Bongine as well. And by the Tuesday, she was in the MDC meeting with Robert. That came through Nicole Blank-Becker first and foremost, and then Canick and Scholar secondarily, because they were in New York and they would have to bring her into the MDC. He was not able to even arrange for anything other than that, given the fact that he was in the hole on suicide watch for 5 days, and no one can come into the prison without going through the protocol of getting access to an inmate, which takes time. So the only way she would have gotten in there is to go in with one of his lead attorneys. It's as simple as that. So everybody wanting to take credit, there's no credit to take. His 2 lead attorneys arranged it, Nicole Blank-Becker and Devereux Canick. A lot of people want to step up and take credit for what they actually did not accomplish. So in the interest of having the record straight, let's review how Bongine came to the table. First and foremost, she knew about the case because Robert is a global phenomenon. He's an icon, a legend, a musical genius. This story has been in the global media for 3 years or more. So everyone was aware of it. She happened to have worked with Steve Greenberg, who was the lead attorney on the case, the biggest case in the media right now. So coming off the Cosby win, no one knew of Bongine until Cosby won. That's when her name got into the media. Simultaneously, Robert got convicted of 9 guilty verdicts. When he was convicted, he was immediately put in the hole for suicide watch. That's just normal protocol when you get a guilty verdict. So he went straight from the courtroom into the hole and did not have access to anyone except his lead attorneys, Devereux Canick, Nicole Blank-Becker. And it was hard for them to even get to him. So Nicole did a FaceTime with Bongine that Tuesday. By that Friday, Canick and Scholar had spoken with her. Robert was in the hole the entire time. So the only people Robert was allowed to see or speak with, well, he wasn't allowed to see anyone for the first 5 days. He was allowed to speak to only his lead attorneys. So Nicole made a call to him, and I believe Canick called him that Friday. But immediately following his guilty verdict, he was put in the hole. So he had no access to anyone, no visitors, no phone calls, no mail. He had to ask to speak to his attorneys, and his attorneys had to schedule time to talk to him. But Nicole had already FaceTimed Bonjean, so by the time she did speak to Robert, she talked to Robert about Bonjean. Robert then spoke to Canick and Scholar. Robert told them Bonjean was in communication. Canick and Scholar then reached out to Bonjean that Friday, and by Saturday and Sunday, Greenberg was talking to her. But no one was allowed to contact Robert Kelly after he got those guilty verdicts except his lead attorneys. And no one would have been able to even tell Robert about Bonjean except his lead attorneys. So no one brought Bonjean to the table except his lead attorneys. First it was Nicole Blank Becker, then it was Scholar and Canick, and Greenberg talked to her, but someone needed to bring her into MDC. Since Scholar and Canick were in New York, that's who escorted her to see Robert. She could not call him. Robert could not call her. Robert couldn't call anybody. He was on suicide watch. No one had access to him. So that's verifiable proof that the only two people that spoke to Robert about Jennifer Bonjean are his two lead attorneys, Nicole Blank Becker and Canick, because they are the only ones that had access to Robert. No one else. No one was able to get to him for 5 days. So they must allow you to talk to your attorneys. So Nicole and Canick were able to talk to him by phone. But Nicole talked to him that Tuesday, and Nicole talked to Bonjean that Tuesday, and I think she spoke to Robert that Wednesday. And then Robert told Canick and Scholar about Bonjean. They did a call or meeting with her. And then Greenberg talked to her that Saturday and Sunday, and by Tuesday she was in the MDC meeting with Robert. All of that came through lead attorneys, but primarily Nicole Blank Becker and Canick. And I believe Canick is the one that brought her into the MDC because Nicole is not in New York. R. Kelly had his money seized by the government to pay back taxes, and he has liens against all of his income. To help him fight for his freedom, you can donate money directly to him at the MDC on his commissary books. This is the information. Go to bop.gov to get more information on the method that works for you. You can call the MDC directly yourself to get step-by-step instructions. They can walk you through it, and then you can decide which method works for you. The phone number to the MDC is 718-840-4200. It's Robert Kelly, 09627-035. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, P.O. Box 329002, Brooklyn, New York, 11232. You can go to the website bop.gov and make sure that you can see which method, whether it's credit card or mailing a money order or sending money through MoneyGram, which method works best for you. Remember and keep in mind he's going to be transferred probably in a couple of months once his sentencing happens. So any monies that you can send them now, because you know once he's transferred, there's that delay in getting money. So please try to send as much as you can, certainly before his sentencing, if you can.